joining us for this episode of our podcast. Today's segment is Fresh Faces, and we have Grayson Kennedy from Gwydion Theater Company joining us today. Welcome, Grayson.
Thanks for having me.
Today we'll talk a little bit about Gwydion Theater Company, and we'll talk a little bit about their current production, Waiting for Lefty. Ready?
Ready?
Sweet. So, thanks for joining us. We want to start by giving you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about Gwydion Theater Company. So, can you start by telling us about yourself and your journey that led you to Gwydion Theater Company?
Sure. Yeah. I was born in Detroit and moved out to Los Angeles to attend this tiny little studio acting school. And while I was there, myself and about 10 other acting students, we were very fed up with the state of theater in Los Angeles, and just wasn't any opportunities for young people, so we started performing at like little tiny readings here in apartments and in parking structures and outside at courtyard tables, and then found our way into the Hollywood Fringe Festival eventually with a production of Timothy Mason's Ascension Day. And it was addicting, really. We all, from the minute the curtain went up for a show, we're like, this is what we're going to do forever. And after about a year of doing that, we took a good long look at all of our individual careers, and we said, I think taking this to Chicago, more theater-friendly town, is the right direction for the company. And we set sail over here in March and put up our first season starting in September. And it's been all downhill since then.
Truly fresh faces. Welcome. Gosh. So a little more in depth in terms of Gwydion. What is your mission? And mission statement, yes, but what is at the core? What is the mission of Gwydion Theater Company and about your work?
So we subscribe to this idea that we like to call challenge theater, where we find a lot of theater today is a lot of people sit in a room, watch a play, and everybody agrees with the message, and they all go, we agree with that, and then they leave. But we find theater to be such just a penetrative and provocative art form that it's best to challenge your audience with work. So we're attracted to literature that an audience member might see and feel themselves personally challenged, or some belief or prejudice that they hold is directly challenged by what we're doing. Which is part of the reason we've chosen this Studio 44 space here that's so tiny, is that intimate productions, we feel, where you can just really get to the human level of both the character and the audience member and build that relationship. That's what Gwydion's really all about. It's very unperformative. We subscribe to the beliefs of this acting teacher, his Polish acting teacher, Jerzy Grotowski, and his philosophies are to strip away every aspect of a production until you get to its most human form, so one human can reach another instead of an actor to an audience member. And that's, ever since then, we've surrounded our season and picked our season with shows that we feel are not safe bets, and we don't want audience members to leave here thinking like, oh man, if only we could have that, and then I want them to leave and think like, we need that, now we need to build this, we need to build this together. Is our full philosophy.
What a force. Yeah, really using the medium for a force. That is great. I want to know more about your journey in transitioning from LA to Chicago, because you all were in Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah.
Before. So can you tell us about Gwydion and finding success in a new city, especially from moving to Chicago?
Yeah. It was really scary at first, I'm not gonna lie. It was a very long, thought-out decision, and I just remember we drove from Los Angeles to Chicago, and every hour of that car ride was just filled with so much doubt. But I grew up watching Chicago theater. I caught a train to go see Doppelganger at Steppenwolf when I was, 15 or something. I thought it was so cool. And I just remember seeing the audience members leaving that show, talking about the show, and oh man, like I thought this aspect and the lights and the script itself. But I find comfort in that now, because in LA, you go see a play and someone say, oh, DiCaprio wasn't in that one, so I wasn't a fan. There's a phenomenon in Los Angeles where Act 1 is full, Act 2 is empty once they realize a big star is not in the show. And as soon as we put up our first production, we got that repayment, because the number one thing we heard was, oh, Zoo Story, which was our first show. Like, Zoo Story, I've always wanted to see that show. No matter who's in it, no matter where it's doing. Like, there's this literary mindset in Chicago that I think aligns with our philosophy. And Chicagoans, I mean, they like to be challenged, I think. They like to go to the bar after and talk about it and get angry and tell their friends and tell their enemies about, like, oh, you should see this play, it'll change your mind.
Well, I've already heard a lot of excitement for Waiting for Lefty just around, like, they're doing that. We got to get tickets. So congratulations. I think it's definitely on point.
Thank you.
I also want to ask, in that journey, I'm sure you've learned a lot, and what advice would you have for other theater companies that would consider doing theater in Chicago?
Ooh. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. I mean, I've never found love in my life like theater, and I still find myself sometimes just being like, give me a break. It is a 24/7, 25/8 job, really. It really is. But just know that it's absolutely worth it, and it does. It changes people. I mean, Chicago's identity is it's built around the mobsters and the theater and the Cubs. Like, really, those are your three things. You go to any bar or restaurant, anyone can talk about theater or talk about baseball. And it's a responsibility of us Chicagoans, I consider myself Chicagoan now, to uphold those traditions. So just know that it is so important and so taxing. And at the end of the day, when you sit on top of that mountain, there's just nothing sweeter, really.
We're so glad to have you on Chicago. So truly, thank you for sharing that. I want to go ahead and give our viewers a little bit of some insight into your current production, which is Waiting for Lefty. And I guess just to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about the show and why you all decided to bring Waiting for Lefty to Chicago?
Sure. Yeah, Waiting for Lefty follows the recount of the 1938 taxicab strike. And it's a fictional recounting of those union taxicab members voting to authorize the strike. And the whole play, they're waiting for Lefty Costello, who is the head of the union. And the play then shows these series of vignettes that affects each member of this committee and how that has led them to being here whether one of our characters is a doctor who's lost his job because of anti-Semitism. The only job you can take is being a taxicab driver, which is unfair conditions. People who are uneducated, trying to get this job here, trying to fight for equal labor rights. And when we read this play, there's this John Malkovich quote that just goes perfect with it, where he said it about Bauman Gilead. Sometimes you just find the perfect play with the perfect people at the perfect time, perfect play, perfect people, perfect time. And that's how we felt about this, because the WGA went on strike, SAG went on strike. In my hometown in Detroit, the United Auto Workers went on strike, and it really started looking like the government was going to shut down again, which in its form is a type of strike. And it seems like from all angles in America, there's this agreement that our right to labor is being infringed upon, but there's no protections for that. It really only comes from unions and the people having enough and saying enough is enough. I'm worth more than this. You get none of me or you get all of me. And when we started reading it and put it together in the table reads, a lot of our actors were affected by the SAG strike, and it just felt like electricity from the first minute. Every single actor has had something to say about, man, this is just like this time this happened to me there. Oh, I almost had this part, and then this went on strike, and then that. And then I think it really shows the great sacrifice that goes into that. I mean, it's every young actor, including myself, wanted SAG to strike, because yeah, you get these great opportunities if we win, which was not guaranteed. And then all of a sudden, all of us were out of work for a year. And just seeing everyone come together like that and then achieve something, there was no option not to do this play this year because of that. We couldn't not do Lefty this year.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And it makes me all the more excited to really see what you all have going on in this space. It sounds really thrilling to have this whole company behind that mission.
Oh yeah.
I want to know more about Gwydion down the road. So can you tell our viewers about what's next in your season, or what else you all are looking to produce, or anything that we can be excited for coming up?
This is the end of our first season here.
Gotcha.
We do 3 show seasons.
Okay.
We aim within the next 5 years to expand that to 4 to 5, and much like lots of other theaters here, we really want to give back to Chicago and make this part of Chicago's identity. So I personally believe the best way to do that is education. We sort of view these first couple years here as gaining that reputation, gaining the trust of Chicago actors to come in and then see what we're about in our styles. And I mentioned Grotowski is our background, and you know, I see a lot of Meisner-based classes or Strasberg. I see a lot of Grotowski, and I think our main goal is to, one, of course, to present these challenge theater pieces, but then to teach people you can challenge people too, and then they take that to their own performance, and whether they're doing a play that's based on Grotowski, or if they're doing a Neil Simon play or whatever, they can find some sort of through line to attack prejudice and just fully like utilize the art form of theater, rather than, I mean, waste is a harsh word, but I see a lot of theater today wasting the art form in sacrificing for ticket sales or payment or spectacle theater, things like that. And not that those are not worthy shows, I just think it's such a polarizing time right now that if us artists can weaponize and use our talents, we can do something here, is sort of our goal there with our education. And then always be producing. It's like ABP, always be producing.
Don't forget it.
ABP.
So you kind of just answered the other question I had, which is, what are your goals for the next 5 years when it comes to Gwydion Theater Company? So if you want to add to that, I would appreciate it, but I would also like to give you an opportunity to share with our viewers how they can follow you, how they can stay updated, because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching that would want to know what's going to come next from Gwydion and how can they get involved.
Absolutely. So yeah, our goal, I mean, along with education, but our sort of slogan we've developed in-house is reputation of excellence. And that doesn't come from our desire to be a great company. It comes from us trying to uphold these standards that have already been created in the city of Chicago. That there's this overlying reputation of excellence that a torch must be passed to the next and to the next. To uphold those standards, and I know that's such a vague goal, but I mean, you feel it when you're doing it. We've performed plays that were not the best, I would feel, in those parking structures, and then we've performed plays that I think were absolutely golden, and to get into that spot to where any Chicagoan can walk into any theater across Chicago and take their cousin from Indiana and say, this is what we're about here, this is what Chicago theater is about. Go to New York and see that, go to LA and see that, but you're not going to find this anywhere else, is our ultimate goal of why we're going to hopefully be here for God knows how long, really. That's a major, major goal there. And then you can follow us on Instagram is the best way. It's most updated. Facebook as well. That'll be Gwydion Theater Company, or at Gwydion Theater Company on Instagram. To join our emailing list, you can go to our website, gwydiontheatercompany.org, and sign up to our newsletter. And for our, should I like throw a little teaser for next season?
All of it.
Okay. For next season, to tease it a little bit, we will be seeing a play by Kenneth Lonergan that is very well loved around the city.
Nice.
I will say that.
Little sneak peek.
Little sneak peek.
Love that.
Can't say much more, but I think that's a pretty nice hint.
Exclusive. You heard it here first. Thank you so much, Grayson. Truly appreciate you spending time with us and talking to us, not just about Gwydion, but Waiting for Lefty and all of the great things that you all are doing and all the ambition behind your theater company. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Be sure to check out Waiting for Lefty.
y'all's panel. I'm very excited. This is one of our series around our Chicago Theater Week, but also our 45th anniversary programming for the League of Chicago Theaters. Just to tell you a little bit about the League represents about 200 theater organizations across Chicagoland area, north, southwest suburbs, and beyond. We help support, advocate, and uplift theater in our community to make sure it continues to be sustainable. We have Chicago Theater Week that kicked off today, where you can get tickets. Yes, tickets for $30, $15 or less to over 70 productions across Chicagoland area. So we're very excited to get that kicked off today. So I hope you all are going to go see some wonderful work. And we are going to get started with our panel discussion today. It's Black History Month, for first and foremost, and I don't want that to be lost under the celebration Chicago Theater Week. The two should not be separated. We should be able to enjoy and uplift our culture no matter what we're doing. It should always be aligned and side by side in the things that we bring forth. So with that, I wanted to talk to you all a little bit about your life and work. Let's start with how you got where you are today in the work that you're doing, and how you bring yourself authentically to the work you do. Was that too deep for the first one? All right, great. Let's start there. And then while you're talking about that, if you could tell us a little bit about the shows you're working on, that would be great.
Please. Hello, again, my name's Kate. I use she, her pronouns. I am currently a student at Loyola, so that's very exciting. It's my second year at Loyola. Even though I'm a third-year student, I transferred. I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to do theater, and then during my first year, I was like, I have to have some sort of arts in my life, and so I came here, and I went to Loyola, and now I'm studying theater, and I'm really enjoying it. I already said that. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm really hoping after college to pursue theater and in many different forms and wearing many different hats, as us theater artists do. But currently at Loyola, I am the dramaturg for Fairview, which is our first main stage production of the 2024 season. And it opens in a week, so it's very exciting. Currently at this time, tech is happening, so that's very exciting.
And you were here, so thank you.
I saw, there was a design run last night, so I was able to see kind of what was happening, and they're in great shape, so I'm super excited. But yeah, the runs goes from the 15th to the 25th. Really great. And then on the 22nd, so that's the second Thursday, so our second weekend, I am hosting a post-show discussion. So that'll be 15 minutes after the show, in 15 minutes exactly. I know that it's very hectic in our lives, so I'm trying to keep it short and sweet, but yeah, so.
Yeah. Hello, everybody, again. I am Temple. Thank you for the introduction. I've been at this for a long time, so it might sound fancier than not. A lot of bumps in the roads along the way, but I've been fortunate to live as a journalist, multimedia journalist. Teaching is my foundation. It pays the bills so that I can go after my passion projects. And one is representing 1619, The Journey of a People, the musical. My good friend, Ted Williams. Go ahead and clap. I think somebody Thank you. My good friend, Ted Williams III, is the writer and creator of 1619, the musical. And we've been very good friends for many years. We double date. We're a part of the village. Our village, and I'm honored to stand in his place tonight, and also to share some of my knowledge in terms of media and the arts. But Ted and his cast, they are at North Central College performing tonight. So they've been there for a couple of days, and so they're thankful to be there for Black History Month. So.
I feel like I've done a little bit of everything, and I think that that's a thing that sometimes we must do as a theater performer, not only because it kind of informs all the rest of the work that we do, but because it makes sure that you have a consistent paycheck to eat, which is really, really, really nice most of the time. I'm currently directing this show, Black by Popular Demand. We named it as such because our last show there was called Dance Like Black People Are Watching, and it sold every single ticket that it possibly could. So we are indeed by popular demand. I think that this show is fantastic, but it is only fantastic by the merit of the people that are in it. The great thing about Second City is that we create everything that you see. So it speaks directly from their experience because it is actually from their mouths, from their minds, from their hearts. And I'd be very excited if you came and saw it any Friday and Saturday from here until, I believe, May 25th. Hope to see y'all there.
Experience of being a dramaturg has opened my eyes to like all the different little avenues you can go down of different ways to just really anything in theater, honestly. I don't know, like, I knew that there's so many different roles in a theatrical production that have to happen or maybe added for certain productions depending on their needs, but I think I'm gonna keep my mind open and just wanting to grab more like experiences and grab more tools in my tool belt to be like, oh, like I want to try this thing. I don't know what it's about.
I am a journalist in my other world, so we mince our words sometimes, right? But the truth is the truth. We deal with facts, and so I think so. In terms of our show, we've been blessed in that we have a target audience, and so. Right now he's working on, again, a film about mass incarceration. I'm already thinking about those audiences, right? And so I'm always starting from a place of your audience. And also exposing our youth to the arts. It's so crucial, right? It's everything. And so Ted has a show coming up at Kennedy King College on February 17th. I'm going to be out of town, but I'm going to already gift 2 of my mentees with tickets to see the show. I won't be, I mean, plus I don't have to pay, but I'm just saying, I want to fill some seats. I want to fill seats, and so I'm exposing them, right? And one's already exposed, but the point, it's just exposing, because you never know where that next film, director and actor is happening. So
challenge not only diversifying the audiences as far as ethnicities, but also in age. And so not only are you looking at, saying a bunch of white people, but usually like my grandparents, because for most part they have the time and the financial resources to see that type of work. So I guess. If you could just solve that whole problem real quick. I guess what have you seen? I guess as far as audiences that are coming out, what audiences want to see, and how do you marry that with the work that you want to do?
So the audiences have always been there. They have not always been marketed to. I think there's been a stigma as well that there is work for there are shows for people of color, there are shows for Black people, and if it's not those shows, that they don't want to see it. Therefore, they don't make investments into marketing properly to those communities, because during the pandemic, we saw a lot of people jump on we're going to be more diverse. We're going to respond to the ECU White American Theater document, and we're going to put out all of these statements. And now, a couple of years later, we already see Yes, that part. We already see people falling back into the rhythm of the traditions in which they were created. So we have to fight against that every day. The audiences have been old and white because that has been the people that they have invested the time to market to cater to put on their boards. You know what I'm saying?
No, you know it.
So I think
one of my favorite quotes. It's mine. I am as interested in an all-white improv group as most people are interested in improv groups in general. Little to none at all. Sorry. It doesn't speak to me. So if you decide that you want to speak to people, if you want to get an audience that isn't dying or dead, then you change your program. That's easy, right? Nobody wants to sit and eat vegetables all the time. We don't have to watch classics 1,000 times over and over and over again. Make new, exciting work that is intriguing, either emotionally, somewhere that makes you laugh or makes you think. And then wash, rinse, and repeat. And that, I think, is what theater really needs. But anybody watching this would be like, oh man, he's an improv guy. But you know, it's still a pretty good idea.
ChicagoTheaterWeek.com for your Chicago Theater Week tickets, and please look to the League of Chicago Theaters for future programming. We're going to be bringing more of this throughout the year, so we have a good year rollout for you to look forward to. Thank you all.